So it looks like Miles Morales might be making his way to the MCU sooner than many people might actually think. Tom Holland has recently done a pretty decent sized press tour doing a lot of interviews about his new company called Bureau, his non-alcoholic beer. And congratulations to him, but of course at the same time in all of these interviews he has been talking about Spider-Man 4 as well. And based off of what we know, Tom Holland has a lot of Spider-Man left, so people naturally assumed that Miles Morales would not be coming to the MCU until it was about time for Tom Holland to hang up the web shooters. Tom Holland has actually expressed in the past that he would love to bring in Miles Morales to the MCU and mentor him. Not only have his character, Peter Parker / Spider-Man, mentor the character Miles Morales, but he himself as an actor and as a person would like to mentor and help take care of the actor that's going to be brought in to play Miles Morales. Well, it doesn't look like we're waiting till the very end for Tom Holland's Spider-Man career to start the career of a new Miles Morales. Now, just a handful of days ago at Disney's D23 event in Brazil, which Marvel Studios attended, Kevin Feige talked about having Miles Morales in the MCU. And he didn't say way down the road, but he actually said the word shortly. Plus, it's been mentioned that people have talked to Sam Raimi, the director of the first Spider-Man trilogy that we got with Tobey Maguire, and of course the director of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and the rumored director for Doctor Strange 3, about making a Miles Morales movie. So it looks like things might be lining up quite well for Miles Morales to enter the MCU. Now, let's first talk about what Kevin Feige specifically said about Miles entering the MCU. At D23 in Brazil, in an exclusive interview with the outlet Omelete, Kevin Feige was pretty upfront about Miles Morales. Their article reads, Kevin Feige said that Marvel Studios wants Miles Morales in live action in the MCU as soon as possible, and that this could happen shortly after the third film in the Spider-Verse franchise, currently scheduled for release in 2027. And then they quote Kevin Feige here, quote, Miles will appear in the third Spider-Verse, which is in production. I hope that shortly after that, he can enter the MCU in live action. End quote. And I love this because this is Kevin Feige. This is the president of Marvel Studios. He knows exactly what he is saying. He never reveals anything unless he wants to. So this is clearly a part of their plan. And like I mentioned, the plan is most likely to have Miles Morales be the new Spider-Man of the MCU once Tom Holland's Spider-Man leaves. But again, I don't think we have to wait that much longer since Kevin Feige said shortly. So that means if Tom Holland has signed up to do 3 more solo Spider-Man movies, and of course all of the other movies in between like Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, etc., that means we're not gonna have to wait till Spider-Man 6 to see Miles Morales enter the MCU. Now, the third Spider-Verse film, Beyond the Spider-Verse, is currently scheduled for 2027. And if we are taking what Kevin Feige said here literally, like literal down to the bone, that means Miles Morales should not appear in the MCU until after 2027. However, if you want to play a little loosely with his words, you could say that perhaps Miles Morales, not yet as Spider-Man, but just simply Miles, could enter the MCU in the next Spider-Man film, because we know that's coming before 2027. Now, of course, this is just speculation. This isn't even a report or a rumor, but if they did want to start introducing him, it would be cool to simply introduce Miles Morales. It could be for a really quick cameo. He could be working at Feast, which is where Aunt May worked. They've done a story about that before for the Spider-Man PS4 fans. In the game, that's where he meets Peter Parker. So the story there is pretty easy for the MCU. Aunt May worked at Feast, Miles Morales can volunteer at Feast, and Peter Parker can now go volunteer at Feast since it's what Aunt May probably would have wanted him to do. He knows that she cared about it, obviously, so it would make sense that after her death, he would volunteer there in her memory as a way to keep what she loved alive. So the story is kind of there if they wanted to go down that route, but it sounds like Sam Raimi might have thought about what a Miles Morales movie could actually be like when we finally get one. We'll talk about that in just a bit.
But first, I'd like to talk to you about Straight Arrow News, my partners and sponsors for today's video.
Staying up to date with all the important events and pieces of news going on in the world is overwhelming. And with good reason, especially right now in time of media bias and mistrust. It's tough to know what the truth is. That's why I've been using Straight Arrow News to find out what is really going on. Straight Arrow News is an app and website that's an unbiased news source that specializes in reliable, fact-based news. Not only are they unbiased, but they also have a media miss tool that will tell you how much each side is covering certain events. It'll tell you if the left isn't covering something the right is covering, or if the right isn't covering something the left is. And it'll also tell you if both sides are covering an event the same. This allows everyone to get the full picture of what is going on, rather than having to trust a biased news source. I use Straight Arrow News throughout the election to truly know what is going on, and it's been eye-opening to see how much bias is in the media. So I'm grateful for Straight Arrow News, and you can go to san.com/cosmic to check it out, or click the link in my description. When you visit, you're not only supporting the channel, but you're also supporting a group of journalists that are raising the bar on news and focusing on serving you the truth. So as far as Sam Raimi and Miles Morales go, the solo movie is obviously going to be ways away after Tom Holland's Spider-Man is done with the MCU, but it doesn't mean people haven't already begun talking about what it could be. And according to two directors, they have spoken to Sam Raimi about what they would do with the Miles Morales movie. There's a movie out on Netflix right now called Don't Move. It recently came out and it's directed by Brian Netto and Adam Schindler. And it's also produced by Sam Raimi. And the two directors opened up in a recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter about working with Sam Raimi. And they also worked on, in 2020, a series called 50 States of Fright. So they've worked together in the past. It's not their first time working together on this project. It seems like they hit it off pretty well. And The Hollywood Reporter asked them if they had any dream projects. And at first, the two of them said Darkman, which is an original character that Sam Raimi created. The movie came out in 1990 and it starred Liam Neeson. And that's all fun and games, but listen to what they said after. They stated, Darkman was my favorite film for a good portion of my life. It was the movie, so Darkman would be really interesting. At some point, they're going to take a crack at Miles Morales in live action. We talked about that with Sam too. So here you have two directors speaking with another director/writer/producer who happened to direct the 3 Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, talking about a Miles Morales live action movie right after Kevin Feige said that Miles Morales is going to be coming to the MCU shortly after 2027, or it could even be during 2027 if Beyond the Spider-Verse happens in the beginning of 2027. But that's just his MCU debut. Like I mentioned, his solo film is probably going to come after Tom Holland's Spider-Man is no longer in the MCU. Now, this could just be something that they were talking about for fun, but Sam Raimi just came back to Marvel Studios. He's rumored to be in the running to direct Doctor Strange 3, and he directed Doctor Strange 2, so that would line up. And he's clearly keeping in touch with Marvel. They've said that they love him, and he said he loved coming back. And he said he'd be open to doing more Spider-Man films. He actually said that he'd be open to do more films with Tobey, but perhaps Kevin Feige has already mentioned a Miles Morales movie to him, and maybe he's mention it to these two directors. Maybe Raimi would come back and he would produce it and he would write it, and maybe the two of them would direct, or maybe they would all kind of help direct and write the film together. Or maybe he's simply talking about it with them and he'll just kind of come back and do it himself. Who knows? But Kevin Feige confirmed regardless that Miles Morales is coming to the MCU. So I'm expecting him to kind of just be maybe slowly introduced in Spider-Man 4, maybe just a quick cameo or a quick name drop. The next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 5, they dive really into the relationship with Peter Parker and Miles, maybe show us how Miles got bit by the spider. Heck, maybe even show that in real time, like he's friends with Peter Parker, then he gets bit by the spider, then the two of them can bond over that, but he still shows him the ropes, and then by the time we get into Spider-Man 6, the two of them are fighting together, and Tom Holland can pass the mantle over to Miles Morales. That's how I imagine they would do it, and then we'd finally get that solo Miles Morales movie, or maybe they want to do a solo film in between Spider-Man 4 and 5. We'll have to wait and see, but regardless, it's confirmed by Kevin Feige himself. Miles Morales is coming to the MCU, and shortly after 2027. So let me know how excited you all are in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news, rumors, or leaks. You can find us on Instagram Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.